Ask me why I sound like this. Bloody hell, I'm sick, mate. But I'm dragging my dead corpse to record this for you guys. So the first thing we started with here is a sketch, and I used the square method. You don't have to use the square method. You don't even have to start with a sketch if you don't want to. And for this particular drawing, I decided to use only one brush, just so I can make the tutorial genuinely accessible for other people who might not have brushes. So at first, I started by blocking the base colors using the lasso tool. And then later on, starting with coloring the contours of the face. Obviously, this is way too high opacity, so you can see me lowering the opacity later on. And then just adding a little bit of bounce light to the front of the hair, just like the bounce from the skin. And then I started shading the normal areas of shadow, like under the eyebrows, under the nose, and under the lips. This is the basic shading that you would see in anime because it's pretty simple, and anime is a simplistic form of whatever you're drawing. But if you really want to dive into the details, you can find asaros head as a 3D model for free. And then you can see me after putting the basic simple shading, I start defining the cheekbones and defining the face and facials a little bit more. I have to mention that it is better to work in bigger details and then refine them more into smaller details. If you see me doing smaller details first, it's because I'm used to it, but it's better if you work in bigger areas of shading and then you go ahead and you start putting in the details, so that way your shadows are easier to control and they also look way better. And I would also recommend watching tutorials on this. For example, my favorite tutorial and the one that really helped me was a tutorial from Cynics. I'll put it on the screen. I also cannot stress enough how important studies are. Study portraits, study still life. It is really important and it will help you get really good at drawing very quickly. This shouldn't be your tutorial because I am not a professional artist and I am only stating my sources and how I studied art. So here the file got corrupted. I'll be commentating over the time lapse. Basically, you can see me focusing on these areas in particular. It's the nose, the eyes, and the lips, and the bottom of the chin. I always focus on shading the top lips. You don't have to do that, but for me personally, it feels more natural to my style or my characters unless the light is coming from the bottom. You can see me here doing the hair, and it's pretty basic shading. This is all accumulated knowledge from watching multiple tutorials and not just one. And when I'm sort of satisfied with the outcome, I'll flip my canvas a few times and I'll use the transform tool to fix whatever issues I have. I'll also notice mistakes or some details that I missed or forgetting my character's fucking facial hair. That's basically the whole tutorial. Like I said, I genuinely recommend doing art studies, doing studies of still life, doing studies of portraits. It is very important, and also watching multiple tutorials, not sticking with one tutorial. One tutorial is not enough and it will never be enough. There is so much information out there. No one can give you years worth of information in 12 minutes. Your studies are not just copies. They should be mindful, but most importantly, you should be having fun.